I got carried away and bought a whole bunch of African fabrics from a website that Mrs. O Quilt shared. In this video, I'm going to give you a closer look at all of the fabrics that I bought so that you can see what kind of designs are available. I'm going to show you how to use them in quilts. I'm going to give you tips for buying them and also some quilts that I've made that use these fabrics. Hello everyone, this is Shalina. Welcome to my channel, Quilt and Color, where I talk about all things related to art. So I was innocently reading a blog by Mrs. O Quilts, and she mentioned that there was a sale on African fabrics, and of course I just had to go check it out. I'll put a link to her blog in the description box below. Let's take a look at these, shall we? About 1 yard of each of these. This one is folded over in half so you can see it. There's the fold. These are all wax block prints. It's a nice technique that African fabrics are made from. I really like the busyness of the patterns and the vibrancy. It's very energetic. Okay, this one is also vibrant and energetic. And it has border treatment on both sides. So that adds another way to use the fabric. And this is another wax print. And you can see that the back is just as vibrant as the front. Here's the one with the orange fabric that would work really well for a background print. And there's all sorts of birds that could be good for fussy cutting for motifs. And then there's a map of Africa. There's only one print of this. The other print that I have is cut off. So that first one is the only one that's complete. Here's another one with the repeating pattern. Another veritable wax block print. I was born in Africa, so I was really excited about finding African fabrics online. I have found some at a flea market before, but they sold them in pieces of 3 yards each, probably for clothing, and that was just too much for me to buy all at once. Here's another exciting fabric in purple and green and gold, orange. I really like how these gold or orange colors spiral out. This is also a wax block print. And so the back is as vibrant as the front. This one's interesting in that it comes with a bunch of rows. It's also a wax block print. This next one is another African block print. It looks like some nice borders. It's big long stripes. This is a fun one with purple, blue, and green. It's a nice way to connect different colors together. This one's also a guaranteed wax block print. And there it looks like on the back. This one's a nice cheddar color. It might look a little bit redder in this video. But it's got some nice fun block prints that can easily work for a background fabric. Or you can fussy cut them to work on a project that you're working on. And this is a wax block print. And Here's the back. This blue, yellow, and black print would work wonderfully for an optical illusion quilt. It already looks like it has optical illusions built in, so it could work well as a border or a background. I was surprised that this one is a African fabric. It says guaranteed real super mama. It does not say it's a wax block print. But it looks like some pretty flowers. Maybe these are passion fruit, I'm not sure. And even though there are straight lines, they kind of remind me of musical notes underneath. This simple and intriguing design is a wax block print. It's got a green background with purple flowers on it. Interesting design between all the flowers. I think this would also work well as a border print. This one is much more complicated with the bright orange, yellow, red, black, blue colors. Simple primary colors, but so many different designs. You could easily fussy cut them or just add them, join them together. This would be a good backing fabric. You could just make it as is, as the top, or you could cut and piece them to add whatever motifs that you like. This one is a simpler design, but very interesting. It's got mostly orange and red backgrounds with some black and gold. You can use this for piecing if you used white or gold or a solid color for the background. You could easily piece this quilt and highlight all the fabulous colors that are in this fabric. This one's a simpler one with the white background, and the other side has the orange background. All of these would make great borders or maybe sashing. The only problem with using them with sashing is that you have to take the 1/4 inch seam allowance into consideration. But if you did it, say, between here, that would give you the 1/4 inch. And then you could use several rows for a border. This one is a simple color scheme with the yellow and the blue. These motifs look like eyes, maybe. But they are quite intriguing. And this probably would be another good one. That would be a good border print or sashing. This is another simple color scheme with the blue and the orange. Lots of big motifs. Simple but exciting at the same time. This one has traditional colors with the green and the orange and the red and the black. It has the same pattern throughout. I quite like it. And it does have a little bit of a border fabric with the orange. And the border is on both sides. The first time that I thought about African fabrics for quilting was when I went to a National Quilting Association convention. The NQA convention was in Columbus one year, and they had a booth of African fabrics that somebody had used to make quilts with. It was a broken dishes quilt, not too different from the one that I have over here. It was made with a random collection of African fabrics that I thought was too busy for that quilt, but I was not familiar with really busy quilts at that time either. I was used to having quilts that had a specific background. You can also use them as bigger pieces to showcase your design. For example, if you're using stars with flying geese, you could put the African fabric in the center of the star, and then the star points would just highlight it and bring the attention to the fabric itself. You can also fussy cut the fabric to show the fabric off specifically if you put it, say, in the center of a star or anything like that. These fabrics would be great to showcase with a contrasting background fabric. So if you use a solid or a model color, then you'll be able to use it in any way that you wanted. For example, you can cut this one up in pretty small pieces if you use, say, an orange as a background fabric. This one will probably look great with any solid color background. And you can also mix and match these fabrics. So since these two are very different from each other, if you made these into half square triangles, one on each side, then you would be able to make sure that there'll be contrast in both sides of your half square triangle or flying geese or whatever block you want to make with these. Let me give you some tips on what I look for when I'm buying these fabrics. First, you want to make sure that you look for the size of the pattern. When you're looking at these online, it's hard to tell how big these motifs are. And if you can find a size bar, then at least you can know if these motifs are big or small so that you know that they will fit your project. Another thing I look for when I'm buying fabric online, I pay particular attention to the descriptions to see what the width of the fabric is. When I first started quilting, the standard width of fabric was 60 inches, and then it moved down to 45, and then it moved down to 42. And I think I've seen somewhere it's down to 32 now. So you want to make sure that you're comparing the right width when you're deciding on whether this price is right for you. African fabrics actually are relatively inexpensive right now to buy. Most of the time I see them online right now is $4.99 a yard in the US. These are wax prints, so they are color fast, but I do recommend that you wash them. The wax has been washed off, but they do have a little stiffness to them. So it's good to wash them first, or at least test them for color fastness before you put them in your project. These fabrics that I bought did not offer free shipping, but because of the price per yard of the fabric, I was fine with paying full price for it. The price was reasonable, so I was happy to pay for the shipping. In fact, I was happy that there wasn't a minimum that I had to buy in order to get the free shipping. I could buy exactly the number of fabrics that I wanted and not be tied down to any number that the company had decided I should buy to get the free shipping. This is the quilt I made using the fabrics I got from the NQA convention. Just cut circles using a CD as a template and arrange them on this background fabric. I made this next quilt as a block of the month with sentimentalstitches.net. As you can see, I've experimented with a large variety of different styles and techniques, including modern, art, improv, traditional, and crazy quilts. For this picture, the quilt that's underneath the stack of fabrics is my next quilt that I'm making with the African fabrics, and I look forward to showing that to you when that's done.